EOSH. Ya, saya katakan itu ada aliran dana 7M.
Pemirsa, Lembaga Perlindungan Saksi dan Korban atau LPSK menolak untuk memberikan perlindungan ke AGH, anak pelaku penganiayaan terhadap David. Informasikan usai jeda.
Dipersembahkan oleh, didukung oleh
Minum Renovit dilengkapi dengan 12 vitamin dan 13 mineral, siap bantu jaga kesehatan tubuh. Siapkan Renovit, siapkan diri. Max.
Ngopi di rumah aja bersama Tarik Malaka. Kopi luwak time.
Ulang kopi dulu.
Luwak Tarik Malaka. Larut di air dingin 100% susu asli. Ngopi dulu yuk. Nyaman diminum pastinya.
Ini baru kopi tarik asli.
Nyaman berpuasa dengan Tarik Malaka.
Selamanya kita takkan berhenti mengejar matahari.
Rise to your life's adventure.
Makan. Kok nggak makan? Takut kolesterol nih. Kamu nggak takut?
Kan habis makan langsung Benekol. Lanstanol esternya hajar kolesterol dari makanan yang habis kita makan. Nutrif Benekol.
Hai, tahukah Anda? Cuma entrasol yang tinggi serat dan mengandung ekstrak buah zaitun. Bantu jaga kesehatan jantungku. Rendah laktosanya bikin nyaman di perutku. Entrasol.
Yang jadi problem kami adalah BBM, Pak.
Kami kesulitan, Pak, untuk mendapatkan lapangan pekerjaan.
Saksikan pidato politik AHY di TV One, Metro TV, dan CNN Indonesia.
Prime Time News setiap hari jam 5:30 sore.
Ngopi di rumah aja bersama Tarik Malaka. Kopi luwak time.
Ulang kopi dulu.
Luwak Tarik Malaka. Larut di air dingin 100% susu asli.
koalisi Lebaran Bahagia. Foto pertemuan yang disebut wacana koalisi Lebaran Bahagia itu
join us again in the next episode.
President Joko Widodo visited Labuan Bajo to check venues for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations ASEAN Summit. The Geological Center of Indonesia warned of potential hazards of Merapi to residents living around the volcano. A nor'easter storm was forecast to dump as much as 16 inches of heavy snow and whip winds of up to 45 miles per hour from Pennsylvania up into Maine starting on March 13 to 15. Hello and welcome to TVRI World's Focus Today, airing live with news from Indonesia and the world. My name is Audrey Utoyo. Let's start with our first report from home. Indonesia's Geological Agency has warned people of potential hazards from Merapi eruption as new lava dome grows at the peak of the volcano.
The head of the Geological Disaster Technology Research and Development Center, or BPP-TKG, Agus Budi Santoso said that the intensity of lava flows from Merapi, Central Java, has decreased since Sunday, a day after the volcano spewed massive hot clouds. Though, he said, supply of deep and shallow magma still occur, so there might be another series of hot clouds from Merapi. The agency also warns local people about the potential of hazards after the eruption last Saturday. Heavy rains might trigger floods around Merapi due to the sediment generated from hot clouds and volcanic ash. Another potential hazard might come from the new movement of the lava dome on top of Merapi. The Geological Agency said that in addition to two currently existing lava domes on the southwest part and in the center of the volcano, there is a volcanic inflation occurring on the northwestern area. The agency also reminds those living in the northwestern region of Merapi to be more vigilant.
The Geological Disaster Technology Research and Development Center of Indonesia has warned the potential hazards of Merapi to local residents living around the volcano, but there has been no order to evacuate.
Authorities have put some cities around Merapi in Central Java on high alert, but no evacuation orders have been issued so far. People in the village of Krinjing, on the top area of the mountain, are still staying at their homes. The village is about 6 kilometers from the peak of Merapi, which has been seriously affected by the volcanic ash after the mountain ejected hot clouds and other materials last Saturday. Village head Suharyanto said that the local administration will not issue evacuating warning to the residents as there has been no order from the government. Merapi's alert status has remained at the second highest level since 2020 after showing renewed activity. People in Klingding village have been familiar with the unpredictable volcano and ready to evacuate at any time when necessary.
Death toll due to a recent landslide in Serasan Island, Natuna Regency, Riau Island Province, continues to increase to 48 people now from previously 46. Meanwhile, 6 people are reported still missing.
On Monday, March the 13th, 2023, the search and rescue team found 2 bodies following landslide in Serasan Island. As of Monday, the landslide has killed a total of 48 people and 6 people are reported still missing. Spokesman for Disaster Emergency Response of the Natuna landslide, Patli Muhammad, said from the total of 48 bodies, 47 bodies of them have been identified, and the team continues to search for those who are reported missing. Apart from casualties from the landslide, has also caused 4 people severely injured. 3 of them are having treatment in a hospital in Kalimantan, while the other one is treated in a hospital in Ranai Island, Natuna. Thousands of people continue to be evacuated following the landslide. As of Monday, total evacuees have reached more than 2,800 people taking shelters in 6 different locations.
Minister of Transportation Budi Karya Sumadi predicted the number of people returning to their hometown for Eid al-Fitr festival this year will reach 123 million. A significant increase will be seen on 4-wheel and 2-wheel vehicle. The government encourages people not to use motorcycle to travel to their hometown to prevent accidents.
Minister of Transportation Budi Karya Sumadi predicted as many as 123 million people will return to their hometown for Eid al-Fitr festive this year. The figure was in line with annual research conducted by Ministry of Transportation ahead of Eid. The figure also marks significant increase compared with 85 million people last year who returned to their hometown to celebrate and enjoy Eid holiday. Minister Budi said from a total 123 million people, most of them are predicted to use private cars and motorcycles. Ministry of Transportation along with other stakeholders have coordinated to anticipate congestion in some vital points, such as toll roads, provincial crossroads and ports, mainly in Merak Port Track and Jakarta-Semarang Toll Road. People who travel with motorcycle still dominate this year, so that Minister Budi encourages people not to use motorcycle to travel to their hometowns for Eid al-Fitr festive. Because with more people are seen returning to their hometown this year, means there are possibility for more accidents.
The government will again offer free trips to the public for the annual homecoming tradition for this year's Eid al-Fitr, which will fall on April 21st to 22nd.
The Ministry of Transportation, through the Directorate General of Land Transportation, will provide as many as 585 buses and 30 trucks for the free homecoming trip, widely known as Mudik. During a press conference in Jakarta on Monday, the Director General of Land Transportation, Hendro Sugianto, explained that the 585 buses would be divided into 2 stages of departure, namely 459 buses for homecoming and 126 buses for returning trips. Meanwhile, 30 units of trucks will be used to transport the motorbikes of the Mudik travelers. The trucks will also be divided into 2 stages, namely 15 trucks for away home and the other 15 trucks for returning trips. The free truck transportation is intended to reduce the number of accidents and traffic gridlock on popular routes during the Mudik season. The Ministry of Transportation said that the free bus transportation will offer to more than 24,000 travelers from Jakarta to a number of destinations on islands of Java and Sumatra. The registration for the free Mudik transportation will be opened for 1 month, from March 13th to April 14th, 2023. Registration can only be carried out online through Mitra Darat application. The ministry estimates the number of people traveling to their hometowns and other places during the 2023 Idul Fitri is expected to reach 123.8 million people.
The Transport Ministry is organizing a free home trip program to allow participants to celebrate Eid al-Fitr in their hometowns. The ministry sets a quota of over than 24,000 recipients for the program. Sumatra Island, it is located in Palembang and Lampung. As we go to West Java province, it's in Garut, Tasikmalaya, and Cirebon. In Central Java and Yogyakarta, it has the most amount of places, starting from Solo up to Semarang, Boyolali, Klaten, Cilacap, Magelang, Wonosari, and Yogyakarta. Now moving on to East Java province, it starts from Madiun, Surabaya, Tuban, Malam, and ending at Tulungang. You're still watching Focus Today. Let's move on to our next news item. President Joko Widodo visited Labuan Bajo, the capital of West Manggarai Regency, to check venues for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN Summit, Tuesday morning. President Jokowi said that all venues for the summit have been ready for the ASEAN Summit.
President Joko Widodo made a visit checking all the facilities for the ASEAN Summit on May 9th until May 11th, 2023. President said that all 10 member countries of ASEAN will attend the summit, and all venues for the summit have been prepared. President Jokowi said Indonesia, as the chair of ASEAN in 2023, picked Labuan Bajo, the capital of West Manggarai Regency in Nusa Tenggara Timur province, as part of the measures to promote the fishing town as a premium tourist destination.
Ya, ini kita ingin memastikan persiapan untuk ASEAN Summit di bulan Mei. Saya melihat beberapa venue sudah siap semuanya, tinggal sentuhan sedikit-sedikit, tetapi yang paling penting ini nanti juga kita ingin mempromosikan juga Labuan Bajo sebagai destinasi super prioritas. Di Kulumor ini bagus, kita lihat di yang Labuan Bajo juga bagus, saya kira. Ya, semuanya di tengok kanan, tengok kiri, semuanya bagus dan indah. Ya.
Indonesia chairs the ASEAN in 2023. During Indonesia's chairmanship, President Jokowi has said that Indonesia will lead members of the ASEAN to make positive contribution to the world amid challenging global economic situation.
President Joko Widodo visited Bali to attend several events, including launching the holy area of Besakih Temple, the island's largest temple complex. Jokowi also launches an integrated waste management center in Denpasar.
On Monday, President Joko Widodo inaugurated the holy area of Besakih Temple in Karangasem Regency of Bali. In his speech, President Joko Widodo expressed his gratitude to be present at the holiest place of Hindu people across the country. Jokowi also asked the Public Works and Public Housing Ministry to work with Bali Governor Iwayan Koster to improve the layout of the temple. The rearrangement will be focused on two areas, namely Becingah and Manikmas, and include a construction of supporting infrastructure. On the same day, President Joko Widodo, accompanied by First Lady Iriana Joko Widodo, launched the Kasiman Kertalangu Integrated Waste Management Center in Denpasar, the capital of Bali Province. In his speech, President Joko Widodo said the Waste Management Center used a simple method in managing waste, but could create real impact. He said the waste management is organized with good result. The president encouraged all regencies and cities to replicate the Kasiman Kertalangu waste management system.
Gaikindo Jakarta Auto Week Automotive Exhibition 2023, held between March 10th and 19th, is expected to help spur car demand following the downturn during the pandemic.
President Director of Organizer 7 event, Romi, said on Monday that the automobiles industry required a lift following a significant decline during the pandemic.
Pada masa COVID itu kan penjualan pasti menurun kan ya, semua merek lah penjualannya menurun. Lalu ada inisiasi dari perindustrian, Kementerian Perindustrian bersama dengan Gaikindo, bagaimana caranya untuk meningkatkan penjualan. Salah satunya ya udah berarti harus bikin event. Nah itu sebuah pameran yang dimana akan meningkatkan penjualan dari pameran. Karena tidak bisa dipungkiri, setiap ada pameran, setiap pelaksanaan pameran itu penjualan pasti selalu meningkat. Gitu kan, setiap ada pameran dia nilainya lumayan besar, bahkan ribuan mobil terjual. Jadi maka dari itu untuk sebagai segera pulih industri otomotif ini, maka dibuat sebuah pameran di awal tahun yaitu Gaikindo Jakarta Auto Week.
Romi added that similar automobile exhibitions will also be held in other cities outside Jakarta, such as Bandung, Semarang, and Surabaya.
Car brands and automobiles-related companies are upbeat with Gaikindo Jakarta Auto Week, as the exhibition can help spur sales and stimulate car demand after the pandemic.
The Jakarta Auto Week also becomes a key outlet for auto-related companies such as parts and accessories to showcase their products. President Director of Organizer 7 event, Romi, said on Monday that the exhibition is aimed at spurring demand for the automobile sectors.
Yang ikut di pameran ini kurang lebih untuk APM-nya itu ada 20 brand. Itu dari semua merek, hampir semua merek yang ada di Indonesia untuk mobilnya. Lalu juga ada industri pendukung, kurang lebih ada sekitar 100 lebih dari 100 brand ikut berpartisipasi di sini. Kenapa sebanyak itu? Itu menunjukkan antusias dari mereka untuk bisa bikin pameran. Dan berarti mereka butuh akan sebuah pameran untuk menunjang penjualannya.
The Gaikindo Jakarta Auto Week held at the Jakarta Convention Center kicked off on March the 10th and will run until March the 19th.
After stirring public attention in recent days for barring foreigners from renting motorcycles, Bali administration has started to take stern actions against international tourists who violate law in the province island. In a press conference held in Bali last Sunday, Bali Governor Iwayan Koster announced that the island administration will prohibit foreign tourists from borrowing or renting motorbikes. The ban will be legalized in the form of a regional regulation or PERDA. The governor added, many foreign tourists in Bali have been caught with traffic violations, with offenses such as driving without shirts, helmets, and even without driver's licenses. Bali administration will further ban international tourists in the Paradise Island from carrying out all types of business. Governor Iwayan Koster added, Bali will also impose stricter monitoring on foreign nationals to prevent residence permit breach. The driving behavior of foreign tourists in Bali has been in the public spotlight lately. Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, Sandiaga Uno, has appealed that foreign tourists must comply with the local regulations, including the traffic regulation.
Tapi untuk membuka sehat, apa kabar? Sehat.
Foreign tourists often ignore the traffic regulation when they drive a car or ride a motorcycle in Bali. More than 170 foreign tourists were found to have violated the traffic regulation in a number of locations in Bali during the raid carried by the police at the end of February and early March this year. For example, many foreign tourists rode a rented motorcycle, which is prohibited in the province. During a weekly press briefing on Monday, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, Sandiaga Uno, said that the foreign tourists have to respect local regulations. But the minister also appealed the local government to review the policy because such a rental business can provide livelihood and jobs for the locals.
Kita harapkan ada kajian yang komprehensif untuk juga menertibkan para penyedia rental. Karena ini juga merupakan lahan usaha yang banyak membuka peluang usaha dan lapangan kerja. Tentunya kita harus pastikan kelangsungan dari perekonomian masyarakat setempat, tapi juga aturan lalu lintas harus ditegakkan dan juga keselamatan dari pengendara motor maupun mobil itu juga harus diutamakan. Penandatangan kesepakatan bersama.
Meanwhile, the head of the Bali Tourism Office, Cokorda Bagus Pemayun, said that his office would soon discuss the matter with the police so that the ban will not hurt the vehicle rental business in the province.
For collectors, jadi nanti mungkin dipamerkan. Oke. Terima kasih.
Thousands of Ujung Batu sub-district residents in Jepara, Central Java, participated in a torch parade to welcome the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. They also carry replicas of a boat, Kaaba, and living creatures of the sea, which made the parade livelier. The boat replica was adorned with lamps, which signifies fishermen as the main profession of local residents there. Meanwhile, young people play traditional musical instruments to make the parade more vibrant. The parade, called Baratan, was held earlier on Saturday as a remembrance for their local history. The word Baratan comes from Baroatan, which means replacing good deeds done in the past with the new one. The residents were happy to be able to hold the parade, as it was previously halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Residents from other villages were also invited to enjoy the parade. The Bengkulu Provincial Administration will hold pop-up bazaars that sell affordable staple food during Ramadan to stabilize prices and manage regional inflation. The bazaars will be held alternately in regencies and cities, in accordance with the Bengkulu Governor's official visit schedule.
Bengkulu Governor Rohidin Mirsha says the pop-up bazaars will offer a number of staple food that have seen their prices increasing and stocks were limited lately. Bengkulu Provincial Administration Secretary Hamka Sabri says inflation rate in the province is still under control at 6.15%. However, it was higher than the national inflation rate at 5.37% in February. Aside from the pop-up bazaars, Hamka says the Bengkulu administration will prepare anticipatory measures to suppress inflation during Ramadan.
Thank you for still watching Focus Today. Now let's move on to our next news item. The people who were uprooted by the devastating earthquakes that struck Turkey and Syria last month still live in fear of aftershocks as they get used to living in makeshift shelters. The disaster on February 6 left more than 46,100 people in Turkey and more than 6,700 in Syria dead. and affected nearly 14 million people. Since then, more than 3 million people have been forced to relocate. Survivor Muhammad Aslan has been residing in a tent for the past month after losing his house and having few other options for what he can call a home. He struggles to survive day in and day out with daily needs like food, water, and items for basic hygiene are in short supply. The dread that another earthquake may strike and take away what little they have, the fear of what the future contains, and the worry that life will never be the same again are, however, what Muhammad and many other earthquake survivors suffer with the most. A month after the devastating earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria, survivors are still living in temporary shelters and campsites near Dari. A 34-year-old Syrian survivor and father of 6, Ali Hussein Mohammed, lost his home in Jandaris, taking his wife and 6 children out of the house and temporarily residing in a trailer truck he owns for work, to then move to the camp, where he currently lives with his family in a tent on the outskirts of Jandaris. One campsite used to be a driving school and had turned into a temporary shelter for earthquake survivors, according to the head of Camp Amin al-Amin. The land was turned into a shelter for around 1,800 people with 282 tents, each accommodating 2 or 3 families. The United Nations, as well as the Syrian government and other actors, are responsible for delays in getting emergency aid to Syrians after the earthquake.
According to a United Nations appointed commission of inquiry, the United Nations, as well as the Syrian government and other actors, are responsible for delays in getting emergency aid to Syrians following the earthquake.
Since the earthquake, we have seen many heroic acts to help victims by the Syrians themselves. But we also witnessed a complete failure by the government and the international community, including the United Nations, to rapidly direct urgent life-saving aid to northwest Syria. Many days were lost without any aid to the survivors of the earthquake.
The allegations add to the growing chorus of criticism leveled at the global body for its role in immediate aftermath of last month's earthquake, which killed 6,000 people, the majority of whom were in the rebel-held northwest near the Turkish border.
Floodwaters turning roads into waterfalls in Pajaro, California. Flood also occurred in King City. About 200 people were settled in at an evacuation center at the Santa Cruz Fairgrounds.
Water levels continue to rise following a breach in the Pajaro River levee, the flooding spreading in the community of Pajaro, California. The flood waters turn roads into waterfalls and leave people scrambling to move valuables to higher ground. Sunday morning, and within a few hours, the north and southbound lanes were flooded, forcing a full closure.
I think I got visual on him. Copy, we got visual.
Meanwhile, a man was rescued from an island in the Salinas River by the California Highway Patrol after his car was swept away in flood water. In footage released by the California Highway Patrol Coastal Division Air Operations, the victim is captured being hoisted into a rope dangling from a helicopter with the help of 2 rescuers.
Lost visual. 2.
Residents in Central California's flooded coastal community of Pajaro sheltered at an evacuation center in Watsonville, California, just days after a levee broke on the Pajaro River and flooded their neighborhoods. The levee broke late Friday night, inundating the community which sits adjacent to Watsonville. About 200 people were settled in at the evacuation center at the Santa Cruz Fairgrounds by Monday.
A northeaster storm was forecast to dump as much as 16 inches of heavy snow and whip winds of up to 45 miles or 72 kilometers per hour from Pennsylvania up into Maine starting on March 13 to 15, the National Weather Service said in a winter storm warning.
Good afternoon, everyone.
The storm in the northeast threatened to produce wet snow that could topple power lines and trees, causing power outages. It was also likely to result in very low visibility on roadways, making travel very difficult to impossible, the service said. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared a state of emergency as of Monday night at 8 p.m.
We are going to be declaring a state of emergency beginning at 8 p.m. tonight. This is how we can amplify the message that this is serious, but also allows us to deploy resources and take extraordinary measures to protect the safety of our residents and their properties.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul warned to stay off the roads for safety, and the commutes will be very negatively impacted on Monday evening, Tuesday, Wednesday morning.
Heed these warnings. This is your chance today.
Brazilian authorities reported 8 people died after a landslide that is caused by heavy rain in Manaus. Drone footage showed aftermath after deadly landslide.
At least 8 people died during a landslide caused by heavy rains in the Brazilian city of Manaus, authorities said on Monday. Footage showed locals and rescue workers working together during the early hours on Monday to look for survivors amongst the rubble. Meanwhile, local media reported 3 survivors were rescued. Amazonas state government said 4 of the mortal victims were adults and 4 were children. Drone footage of the landslide aftermath showed the destruction caused in a housing area located in a high-risk zone at the capital city of the Amazonas state in the Brazilian Amazon. During the early hours of Monday, local and rescue workers worked together to look for survivors among the debris. According to authorities, 4 of the mortal victims were adults and 4 were children. Also, 3 survivors were rescued.
Homes have swept away from their foundations in Peru after powerful cyclone Yaku unleashed torrents of rain in Peru's northern region, causing survivors to lose everything after the cyclone.
In the province of Lima, houses next to swollen Chilon River were swept away on Monday after water levels rose dramatically. One of residents, Emma Melendez, said she didn't have time to salvage any belongings as the water current destroyed everything in its path. According to the disaster and risk manager of Comas, Evelyn Vicente, reported so far 29 houses and approximately 50 families have been affected by Yaku. The government of President Dina Boluarte declared a state of emergency in 400 districts as it seeks to bring relief from the effects of the cyclone. Authorities said Peruvians in northern Peru were affected by torrential rains and floods caused by a powerful cyclone that has killed at least 6 people. In towns such as Trujillo or Lambayeque, water on streets reached knee-height. The survivors said that they lost everything because of the cyclone and don't even have anywhere to sleep. The National Institute of Civil Defense said 58 people have been killed since the start of the rainy season, which began some months ago. It did not provide a specific time frame for the casualties.
Heavy rain and muddy flood waters were seen in Malawi's second largest city, Blantyre, after Tropical Storm Freddy left at least 40 people dead.
Vehicles were seen submerged in flood water in Malawi's second largest city, Blantyre. A video published on social media showed after Tropical Storm Freddy hit the country. Freddy is one of the strongest storms ever recorded in the southern hemisphere and could be the longest lasting tropical cyclone, according to the World Meteorological Organization. Meanwhile, at least 40 people have been confirmed dead on Monday from Tropical Storm Freddy in Malawi, where numbers are still coming in from areas affected by flooding, government officials said. A residential area in the Blantyre city was covered in mud water as search and rescue operations dug through rocks to find trapped bodies.
2 people were killed and 9 injured after being struck by a fan on Monday in the Canadian town of Amqui, Quebec, provincial police said.
Police spokeswoman Eleni Song-Piek said that circumstances of the collision were still being investigated. The driver of the van has been arrested for a deadly hit and run. CTV News reported. Police were called around 3 p.m. local time to reports of a collision between a van and pedestrians walking along a road in Amqui, located about 650 kilometers northeast of Montreal. A man in his 70s and another man in his 60s were killed, Song-Piek said. 2 other people are seriously injured. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said on Twitter that his heart was with the people of Amqui. The incident comes a month after a bus driver was charged with murder after ramming his vehicle into a daycare center in a Montreal suburb, killing 2 children.
Gabonese authorities continue search operations for 31 people still missing after a ferry sank last week in the coastal area, killing 6 people. The Esther Miracle Ferry, operated by Royal Coast Marine and carrying 161 passengers, was sailing from Libreville to Port Gentil when it sank on March 9 off a coastal village, Nyoni. According to Gabon's Prime Minister, Alain Claude Billy, they have not stopped by to search operations. A boat is at the area with diving teams which are locating the shipwreck. The Air Force also has been conducting daily search operations in order to find the missing people since the ferry sank. Air Force pilot Lieutenant Modeste Mezi told the state broadcaster. Berlin, Bremen, and Hamburg airports said no commercial flights would take off due to a strike by trade union Verdi over pay. Berlin Airport said on its website, due to the warning strike by employees at the aviation security controls, no commercial departures will take place at bare incoming flights may also be affected. Hamburg Airport also said that arrivals could be delayed or cancelled. Bremen said there were no flights from its airport. Passengers Anne Sonntag from the eastern German state of Thuringia, who was due to fly from Berlin to Thailand on Monday morning, said that it was very sad because they have been saving for this vacation all year. "30 people are missing and 17 were rescued in the central Mediterranean on Sunday after the boat in which they were traveling from Libya capsized in bad weather," Italy's Coast Guard said.
The tragedy comes just weeks after a February 26th shipwreck near the southern region of Calabria, in which at least 79 died. Alarm Phone, a charity that picks up calls from migrant vessels in distress, assumed the 30 people were dead and blamed Italy for not sending its Coast Guard despite being repeatedly alerted on Saturday that the boat was in trouble. However, Italy's Coast Guard said the capsizing occurred outside the Italian search and rescue area, and Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani said Rome was doing all it could to avoid shipwrecks. 17 migrants rescued after the latest deadly shipwreck in the Mediterranean were brought ashore by the Italian authorities on Monday, as Italy faced criticism for its response to the crisis. Those rescued were taken to the Sicilian town of Pozzallo. Italian newswire ANSA reported and said they were all originally from Bangladesh. 30 people were feared drowned after the boat they were traveling in from Libya capsized in a bad weather on Sunday, Italy's Coast Guard said. 25 migrants who traveled in a minibus on highway between Sofia and Pernik were detained by Bulgarian police on Monday, Interior Minister said. Local media reported the arrested migrants came from Afghanistan. 2 weeks ago, Bulgarian prosecutors charged 6 people with human trafficking after 18 Afghan migrants were found dead inside a truck dumped on a dirt road near Sofia.
2 women were killed and 3 other people were wounded after a residential area in the town of Volnovakha in the Russian-controlled part of Ukraine's Donetsk region came under fire on Monday, according to the Donetsk news agency. A Russian investigator collecting evidence on the scene accused Ukrainian forces of being behind that attack. Lyuba, a local resident who was nearby at the time of the strike, said she and her family were lucky not to get killed under fire. The town of Volnovakha is located some 63 kilometers or 39 miles southwest of Donetsk city. It was taken by Russian forces on March 11, 2022 in fierce battles 2 weeks after Moscow launched what it calls a special military operation in Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron met with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Paris on Monday to discuss the war in Ukraine, the energy crisis, and Europe's defense industry.
The two leaders' working dinner takes place in advance of a European Council summit on March 23rd to 24th. Orban has criticized the European Union sanctions on Russia as having damaged the bloc's economy and recently said the EU is waging an indirect war on Russia through its military support to Ukraine. Orban has ruled out sending arms to Ukraine or severing Hungary's economic relations with Moscow. Landlocked Hungary is heavily reliant on Russian natural gas and crude oil imports. The Russian energy giant Rosatom is building a nuclear plant in the country based on a 2014 contract. Nationalist Orban's government is also locked in battles with Brussels over corruption, migration, LGBTQ rights, and democratic standards.
US President Joe Biden met with Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as part of a plan to provide Australia with nuclear-powered attack submarines, a major step to counter China's emissions in the Indo-Pacific.
In a joint statement, U.S. President Joe Biden, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, and British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak endorsed plans for the so-called AUKUS project, first announced in 2021 at the U.S. Naval Base in San Diego, California, principal home port of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Under the deal, the United States intends to sell Australia 3 U.S. Virginia-class nuclear-powered submarines in the early 2030s, with an option to buy 2 more if needed, the joint statement said. The statement from the leaders said the multi-stage project will culminate the British and Australian production and operation of a new class of submarine, as an AUKUS, a trilaterally developed vessel based on Britain's next-generation design that would be built in Britain and Australia and include cutting-edge U.S. technologies.
Thank you so much.
The agreement will also see U.S. and British submarines deployed in Western Australia to help train Australian crews and bolster deterrence, the senior U.S. official said. The joint statement said the U.S. and Britain would begin these rotational deployments as soon as 2027, and the senior U.S. official said this would increase to 4 U.S. submarines and 1 British in a few years. AUKUS will be the first time Washington has shared nuclear propulsion technology since it did so with Britain in 1950s. China has condemned AUKUS as an illegal act of nuclear proliferation. In launching the partnership, Australia also upset France by abruptly cancelling a deal to buy French conventional submarines.
Thanks, Brett, for all the meeting.
China's political season has ended with the conclusion of the first session of the 14th National People's Congress. Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a speech at the closing meeting yesterday morning at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. Our correspondent Huang Yi has the details.
Chinese Premier Li Qiang has reiterated China's determination to deepen reform and further open up as one of the top priorities of the new government's work. He made the remark when he met local and foreign reporters after the closing of the first session of the 14th National People's Congress. Premier Li stressed that no matter how the external situation may evolve, China will stay firmly committed to pursuing its opening up policy. And this year, he said, China will align with high standard international economic and trade rules and provide a better business environment and services to the world. In particular, he mentioned the China International Import-Export, or the CRIE, as a major step taken by China to open its market to and share its development opportunities with the rest of the world. It reminds me that just how popular products from Indonesian companies were among Chinese consumers at the 5th CRIE. And now under the frameworks of the RCEP and Belt and Road initiatives, there will be hopefully more economic and trade opportunities between Indonesia and China. And in terms of healthcare, Premier Li said China will continue to engage in communication and cooperation with the international community to protect the health and well-being of humanity. Well, China and Indonesia have been working closely in combating the COVID-19 pandemic, and we can expect both sides to deepen cooperation in terms of vaccination and medicines. It should be mentioned that the premier called on cooperation instead of conflicts between China and the US, given that many have been trumpeting decoupling between the two countries. He said there is a lot that China and the United States can achieve by working together, and the encirclement and suppression are in no one's interests. In general, Li voiced full confidence in the country's economy, but stressed that redoubled efforts were required to meet China's 2023 GDP growth targets of around 5%. That is due to many factors of instability and uncertainty, as well as unpredictable factors. He said the country will introduce a number of policy combinations in terms of macro policies, measures for expanding demand, for advancing reform and innovation, and to prevent and diffuse risks. And he vowed that the government will continue to foster a market-based and law-based business environment under international standards so that private entrepreneurs can grow and thrive in a better and broader space. And other favorable conditions of the country, the premier said, include an ultra-large market, a well-functioning industrial system, a rich supply of human resources, a strong development foundation, and notable institutional strength. He added that as far as he knows, most foreign enterprises and international organizations are still optimistic about their development prospects in China. And it appears certain that Indonesia will be able to take advantage of some of these factors to strengthen economic and trade ties with China. Feng Yilei, CGTN for TVRI in Beijing.
Newly inaugurated Czech President Petr Pavel made his first foreign trip as head of state, visiting neighbor Slovakia.
Incoming Czech and Slovak presidents traditionally visit each other after taking office, paying respects to a history of good relations between the two countries, which split in 1992. Pavel and Slovak President Zuzana Čaputová are expected to make a joint visit to Ukraine soon. Petr Pavel, a former Czech army chief and high-level NATO official, started his 5-year term as Czech president on Thursday, with pledges to keep helping Ukraine and support painful economic policies.
You are still watching Focus Today. Now let's move on to our next news. Movie fans in Bangkok, Thailand filled theater on Monday evening after the Oscar victory of the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. Cinemagoers praised the cast and film, with one fan describing it as one of the most perfect movies I've ever watched. Other moviegoers in Bangkok were impressed with the editing of the movie and the message that it sends about families and relationships. The movie claimed 7 awards overall, including 3 in the 4 acting categories for stars Michelle Yeoh, Ki-hye Kwan, and Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeoh won her leading role as a stressed laundromat owner who finds she has superpowers in alternate universes. Jordan's King Abdullah and his wife Queen Rania's eldest daughter, Princess Iman, on Sunday married a New York-based financier from a prominent Greek family in a private ceremony attended by some Gulf royals and family friends.
The princess, 26, and the groom Jamil Alexander Termiotis, 28, both read a verse from the Quran after signing the marriage document in front of the monarch and parts of the ceremony shown live on state television. Earlier, Princess Iman, wearing a white dress with a long train and lace-cuffed sleeves with a diamond tiara, was escorted through the palace gardens by Crown Prince Hussein bin Abdullah, her eldest brother. The engagement of Iman to Termiotis, who was born in Caracas, Venezuela, into a Greek family, had been announced last summer, but the date of the marriage was set only last week. King Abdullah's eldest son, Crown Prince Hussein, is set to marry Rajwa Al Saif, the youngest daughter of Saudi businessman Khalid Al Saif, on June 1st. The Hashemite ruling monarchy enjoys solid support in a kingdom that has escaped relatively unscathed the upheaval that has swept the Middle East.
Japanese conveyor belt sushi chain Kura Sushi said on Monday that they started using artificial intelligence camera system early this month to catch unhygienic pranks after a video of a man licking a soy sauce bottle filmed at one of their restaurants in central Japan went viral online.
According to Kura, they installed AI cameras above conveyor belt in all of their restaurants throughout the country in 2021, initially to automatically count how many sushi trays customers have taken. In response to a recent series of pranks, the camera system has been since upgraded with a new AI function to spot suspicious behaviors, such as a tray being taken from the belt and then put back on. Once an unusual behavior is caught by the camera, the AI system will send an alert to Kura Sushi's headquarters in Osaka Prefecture, where a team will further take a look at the recorded video and contact restaurant staff to remove the tray from the belt. Last week, local police announced that they arrested 21-year-old man Ryoga Yoshino and 2 teenagers for obstructing business operations at Kura Sushi's restaurant in Nagoya. According to police reports, Yoshino put his mouth on the soy sauce bottle, while the 2 teenagers helped film and post the video on social media. Similar cases earlier this year at other sushi chains, including videos of people licking teacup and adding extra wasabi, Japanese horseradish to sushi dishes revolving on the belt, raised hygiene concerns from the public. Customers welcome the additional food safety feature from Kura.
Muna Shaheen rolls out to freely connect children with nature, taking families on guided tours into nature and holding workshops.
Through specialized workshop led by environmentalists on how to preserve it by getting their hands dirty in nature soil. Children are taught about the value of plants, from forests to the dietary plants that they eat at home. They set out to clean parks while collecting dry branches, getting and learning about its significance.
بالضبط بهمني كتير انه يكون في وعي للبيئه وللطبيعه بالوسط الفلسطيني. هاي الدوره اسمها حراس الجنه، بجيب اولاد على الطبيعه على الحرش هون وبعلمهم كيف يتواصلوا
Germany's Jennifer announced her retirement from international football on Monday.
The announcement comes just 4 months ahead of the Women's World Cup, which will take place in New Zealand and Australia from July 20th. In European Championships and scored in the 2016 Olympic final to secure the gold medal for Germany. Those medals add to her 5 Champions League titles, 4 with her current club Olympique Lyonnais and 1 with FFC Frankfurt. The 30-year-old midfielder, who made her international debut in October 2010, goals for her country in a 13-year international career. Marozan said she is retiring due to an anterior cruciate ligament injury that she suffered while playing for Germany against Serbia in a World Cup qualifier in April 2022. Marozan will play her 12th and last match for her country on April 11th against Brazil.
And that wraps up today's edition of Focus Today. I'm Audrey Toyo. Let's continue to comply with the health protocols to keep us and our loved ones safe. Stay healthy. Thanks for watching and goodbye.
Kasus korupsi untuk seleksi masuk mahasiswa jalur mandiri. Kejaksaan Tinggi Bali menetapkan Rektor Universitas Udayana I Nyoman Gede Antara sebagai tersangka karena diduga melakukan korupsi terkait dalam sumbangan pengembangan institusi atau SPI mahasiswa baru sejak tahun 2018 sampai tahun 2022. Sebelumnya sudah ada 3 tersangka lain yang merupakan staf rektorat dalam kasus dugaan korupsi yang ditaksir merugikan negara hingga ratusan miliar rupiah ini. Meskipun telah ditetapkan sebagai tersangka sejak pekan lalu, tetapi Antara mengaku baru tahu dan bersikuku bahwa dana SIP sesuai aturan dan mengalir ke kas negara.
Jadi sebetulnya itu SPI dimungkinkan terjadi regulasi, ya. Yang pertama regulasi tentu, yang kedua sistemnya itu adalah tidak menentukan kelulusan, dan yang paling penting itu adalah tidak ada mengalir ke kepala pihak individu staf kami itu kami yakin tidak ada, itu semuanya mengalir ke kas negara bisa.
Saya ajak Anda ngobrol dengan Aspitsus Kajati Bali, Pak Agus Eko Purnomo dan Mas Boyamin Saiman dari Koordinator Masyarakat Anti Korupsi Indonesia. Selamat malam Pak Agus, Mas Boyamin.
Malam, Fristian.
Ya, selamat malam.
Mas Boyamin.
Ya, saya ke Pak Agus dulu. Pak Agus, ini jadi konstruksi hukumnya seperti apa? Apakah setiap kali siswa yang masuk itu seharusnya bayar berapa? Kemudian justru yang disetorkan oleh rektorat ini dikurangi begitu, akhirnya kemudian penerimaan negara berkurang. Ya, tidak seperti jumlah yang seharusnya, atau ada misalnya penambahan biaya bagi yang mereka mau masuk, atau bagaimana kami menggambarkannya, ada jual kursi misalnya atau jual jatah masuk ke fakultas tertentu misalnya, mana yang terjadi?
Terima kasih Mbak Kristi.
termasuk tadi yang Mbak katakan itu masuk ke objek penyidikan kita. Cuman yang sudah kita lakukan penyidikan itu yang pertama adalah mahasiswa ini dipungut SPI tanpa ada dasar hukum, tanpa ada dasar hak. Jadi kita kategorikan sebagai pungutan liar. Sehingga pasal yang kita pasang adalah pasal 12 huruf E. Karena tanpa ada dasar. Ini yang kerugiannya 3,9 miliar. Demikian. Kemudian yang kedua yang sudah kita temukan adalah menggunakan dana SPI tidak sesuai dengan ketentuan. Jadi ketentuannya A digunakan untuk B. Demikian, Mbak.
Tidak sesuai ketentuan. Ada yang lebih rinci, Pak Agus? Artinya SPI ini seharusnya peruntukannya buat apa dan kemudian digunakan buat hal lain? Apakah keperluan pribadi, keperluan kelompok yang terkait dengan Pak Rektor atau seperti apa?
Terima kasih, Mbak. Jadi sesuai dengan namanya, sumbangan pengembangan institusi. Yang dulu itu yang namanya mungkin di zaman-zaman sebelum ada SPI itu ada namanya uang gedung, demikian. Ini yang harusnya untuk sarana prasarana digunakan untuk yang lain. Maka setelah kita tetapkan 3 tersangka ini, kita tetapkan lagi untuk tersangka baru dengan pasal 2, pasal 3. Karena kita meyakini bahwa kerugian negara ada. Seharusnya uang yang untuk sarana prasarana yang akhirnya menjadi aset, yang menjadi kekayaan negara, sehingga tidak menjadi aset. Itu kerugiannya. Dan ada yang diuntungkan. Maka pasal yang kita kenakan adalah pasal 2, pasal 3. Selain yang pasal 12 yang setelah di awal kita tetapkan. Demikian.
Ya, Pak Agus, kan tadi saya sudah sampaikan pada pemirsa bahwa sebelumnya sudah ada 3 tersangka lain yang juga ditetapkan status hukumnya dalam kasus ini. Itu kan semuanya staf ya, Pak Agus, Anda bisa koreksi, semuanya staf. Apakah kemudian konstruksinya adalah ini mereka ketiga staf yang juga setelah menjadi tersangka tersebut melakukan tindak pidana yang saat ini disangkakan kepada mereka atas perintah dari Rektor Udayana?
Ya, benar. Jadi sebetulnya bukan staf biasa sih, yang bersangkutan ini sebagai kepala Husdi, yaitu bidang IT-nya, ada di eselon 2 juga, kemudian ada di biro akademik juga. Jadi bukan staf biasa, Mbak, tapi ini orang-orang pinter di bidangnya.
Oke, eselon berapa tadi, Pak Agus? Eselon 2 ya?
Eselon 2, ya kalau nggak salah itu.
Mas Boyamin, tadi di awal sudah saya buka, ini miris sekali, ini perguruan tinggi tempatnya para orang terdidik, diharapkan juga terdidik ikut moralnya.
Baru, tepung bumbu racik, crispy hingga 5 jam. Dari siang ke sore, sampai ayah pulang, masih crispy karena diracik dari tepung berkualitas dan rempah pilihan. Baru, tepung bumbu racik.
Sebentar lagi memasuki waktu imsak.
Yuk minum energen dulu, lengkapi sahur dengan energen kurma. Makin lengkap nutrisinya untuk ekstra energi saat berpuasa.
Tiap puasa ekstra energi.
Di tengah kesibukan sehari-hari, nggak boleh kalah dari nyeri otot.
Inilah yang saya miris juga.
Kelihatan Mas Yamin,
ya.
Miliatan. Yang di sini ada 1,2 miliar.
Nah, ya apalagi sampai segitu gitu. Jadi betapa pendidikan yang mulia ini seperti digadaikan hanya diukur dengan uang.
Cool untuk sensasi dingin saat olahraga.
Siap olahraga, siap konten biru. Kamu siap?
Siap puasa? Siap. Siap.
Yuk Bunda, lengkapi nutrisinya sejak puasa pertama dengan Denkau. Saat sahur dan sebelum tidur. Si buah hati siap belajar puasa. Dari Nestle.
Legenda sang penuh pada hari dan jam berikut di BTV.
Piatos membawa gue ke dimensi paling santuy. Piatos nikmatnya bikin santuy.
Kan maka satu kata itu hentikan sistem penerimaan mandiri. Dah cukup. Jangan dihancurkan lagi. Mahasiswa juga hancur loh, namanya itu dengan pola-pola seperti ini juga hancur gitu. Dan ketika ini diberitakan nanti kan juga hancur juga gitu. Jadi ini pendidikan yang sungguh tidak baik. Di negara mana?
Dengan air yang murni, aqua dulu.
Lihat papa tuh kayak bercermin, mirip banget. Pas papa kena diabetes, giliran aku jadi cerminan papa, hidup lebih sehat. Apalagi aku keturunan yang lebih berisiko. Tropicana Slim untuk manusia hidup lebih lama.
Piatos membawa gue ke dimensi paling santuy. Piatos nikmatnya bikin santuy.
Beler alergi, minum alergis. Dokter alergi, minum alergis. Gatal alergi, minum alergis. Dental alergi, minum alergis.
Terganggu karena alergi, minum alergis. Atasi gejala alergi, tidak bikin ngantuk dan aktivitas lancar. Obat alergi, minum alergis. Alergis, atasi gejala alergi. Dari LAPI.
Baru Vision Flat susu sereal. Sereal berpadu halus dengan susu kaya nutrisi. Nikmat. Dukung daya tahan tubuh alami, tubuh kuat, semangat maju. Tiap pagi susu Vision Flat.
Marjan, kembalikan semangat saat berbuka.
Kulit basah dan lembab dapat menjadi penyebab tumbuhnya jamur kulit. Oleskan Ultrasilin untuk membasmi jamur kulit. Ultrasilin efektif untuk kutu air.
Batuk berdahak jurusnya anakonidin ME. Kalau batuk flu, anakonidin OBH. Batuk pilek, anakonidin cherry. Kenali jenis batuk si kecil dan segera minum anakonidin. Produksi Konimax. Things to do untuk kulit sehatmu. 1. Viva pembersih. Maksimal bersihkan kotoran sampai ke pori-pori. 2. Viva penyegar. Angkat sisa pembersih, segarkan, ringkas pori, dan jaga pH kulit. Viva pembersih dan penyegar.
Batuk. Posek.
Oh, potek komik herbal aja. Dengan daun lagundi dan jahe merah, tinggal potek. Komik herbal redakan batuk berdahak.
Batuk, potek komik herbal aja.
Guys, ada yang baru nih. Permen Milton Sugar Free dengan 3 rasa baru, blackcurrant, lemon, dan mint. Milton, sensasi rasa buah.
Sikat gigi udah rutin, masa nggak kumur Listerin?
Memang kenapa?
Nggak cukup sikat gigi aja. Kumur Listerin dengan essential oil untuk kurangi kuman hingga ke sela gigi. Mulut sehat, napas segar. Puasa makin lancar.
Saat puasa, jaga daya tahan tubuh agar selalu fit. Minum Vitalongsay Zinc. Vitamin C-nya diserap bertahap dan melindungi seharian. Aman di lambung. Puasa lancar dengan Vitalongsay Zinc. Fitnya standby, lemahnya goodbye.
Ultra Flu. Flu reda, lega rasanya.
Batuk dan pilek, minum nih.
Ultra Flu Extra dipercaya meringankan batuk dan flu yang mengganggu. Ultra Flu Extra, batuk dan flu reda, lega rasanya.
Nikmatnya Piatos selalu membuat lidah gue lebih santuy. Renyahnya keripik kentang bertemu gurihnya bumbu istimewa benar-benar membawa gue ke dimensi paling santuy. Piatos nikmatnya bikin santuy.
Puasa jangan setengah-setengah. Harus tahan lapar serta amarah. Jaga mulut jangan setengah-setengah. Sikat gigi udah rutin, masa nggak kumur Listerin?
Memang kenapa?
Nggak cukup sikat gigi aja. Kumur Listerin antiseptik dengan essential oil untuk kurangi kuman penyebab masalah mulut hingga ke sela gigi dan seluruh area mulut. Mulut sehat, napas segar. Puasa makin lancar. Listerin jaga mulut sepenuhnya.
Tina udah siap om. Mie sedap soto dulu yuk. Enggak deh om, makasih.
Mie sedap soto dengan mie yang kenyal serta koya gurih dan jeruk nipis asli. Soal rasa mie sedap soto, lidah nggak bisa bohong. Rasa soto nomor 1 cuma mie sedap soto.
Agnes Dermacare, perawatan wajah sensitif berjerawat, gentle cleanser, wajah bersih, gak ketarik, cek anti blemish essence, flek hitam dan bekas jerawat, udah. Agnes Dermacare, approve banget.
Tolong bantuin ibu hari ini.
Siap, Bu!
Enak. Berikan ia nutrisi Milo untuk dukung puasanya tetap kuat, aktif, berenergi. Puasa-puasa tetap aktif. Karena energi baik tak habis. Milo, energi untuk aktif setiap hari. Dari Nestle.
Anda kembali bersama kami di Obrolan Malam. Kami masih ngobrol mengenai Rektor Udayana yang terjerat kasus korupsi. Saya ke Mas Boyamin lagi. Mas Boyamin, apakah satu-satunya cara untuk bisa mencegah jangan sampai tindak pidana korupsi lagi-lagi bakal terjadi di sejumlah perguruan tinggi dimanapun itu di tanah air adalah dengan menutup jalur mandiri, jalur penerimaan mandiri? Ini merupakan satu-satunya jalan atau seharusnya menurut Anda ada mekanisme lain atau instrumen lain yang bisa digunakan untuk bisa mencegah tindak pidana korupsi seperti ini?
Penelitian saya di beberapa kampus itu yang bisa saya sebut karena baik itu adalah Polines Semarang, Politeknik Semarang. Karena apa? Dengan pola yang lulus itu berdasarkan ranking meskipun itu mandiri. Jadi nilainya dulu lulus ranking 1 misalnya butuh 40, dan ranking 1 sampai 40 diumumkan, nilainya pun diumumkan dengan sumbangan yang rasional. Dan sama, setiap orang sama, 40 orang tadi yang mandiri tadi. Misalnya 50 juta ya 50 juta semua. Baru kalau ada yang tidak mampu mundur baru nomor 41 naik gitu loh. Jadi tidak ada lomba maraton untuk besar-besaran jor-joran uangnya terus akhirnya masuk itu. Jadi itu potensinya kan jadi suap karena apa? Ya nilainya jadi lelang gitu. Siapa yang tertinggi maka masuk gitu. Dan dugaan itu di beberapa perguruan tinggi yang justru ternama banyak hal yang saya jumpai itu dugaan-dugaan itu. Jadi kalau mau mandiri boleh untuk nambah tadi dengan pola yang dibuat seperti itu. Tetap dengan ranking dan kedua dipastikan kebutuhan kelas itu berapa sih untuk kegiatan minimal untuk kelasnya. Kalau memang mau nyumbang lebih besar enggak apa-apa untuk kampusnya misalnya kebutuhannya tadi misalnya 50 juta untuk kampusnya misalnya 10 juta ya udah 60 juta aja gitu loh. Jadi dibatasi itu gitu. Tidak dengan pola-pola yang liar begini. Kalau liar begini saya yakin akan berlomba-lomba untuk korupsi. Satu tadi saya sebenarnya paham itu meskipun Pak Agus tidak menjelaskan itu bagaimana polanya. Yang tadi pertama 3,9 itu saya yakin itu di luar ketentuan. Artinya itu pungli gitu. Jadi sebenarnya bisa mengarah suap juga kalau perlu itu pemberinya jadi suap biar kapok lah mahasiswa juga berlomba-lomba begitu. Kedua tidak saya peruntukan misalnya untuk sarana prasarana. Bisa jadi dugaan ya untuk bancaan untuk dibagi-bagi sebagai penambahan honor lah, penambahan gaji lah. Kira-kira kan sampai begitu. Itu nanti akan dibuka di sidang, kita tunggu dengan gemetar rasanya. Saya jengkel betul ini rasanya itu. Jadi ini satu hal yang memang bisa dilaksanakan kalau memang ada mandiri karena demi subsidi dari sistem negara yang memang belum mampu menyelenggarakan pendidikan secara gratis untuk perguruan tinggi, yaitu tadi paling tidak kalau penambahan kelas terukur, jumlah yang logis dan kemudian dikawal juga pengertian betul-betul masuk kampus gitu dan dipakai untuk jelas untuk kepentingan kampus, bukan untuk kepentingan orang per orang atau kelompoknya atau pura-pura melakukan pekerjaan yang sebenarnya tidak ada kaitannya sarana prasarana dan vendor atau pemborongnya yang dapat untung. Saya kira itu. Dan Mas Agus mungkin juga pernah saya kasus ini saya kawal sejak Oktober, Desember bahkan agak keras kalau tidak segera penetapan tersangka ya saya kawal dengan cara saya itu saya gugat pra-peradilan kan sampai begitu Mas Agus. Jadi itulah bentuk-bentuk saya mendukung dan tetap kita apresiasi Kejaksaan Tinggi yang mampu membongkar ini karena level yang lain KPK yang menangani. Jadi dan itu berdasarkan OTT kalau Kejaksaan Tinggi itu menemukan dan mencari alat bukti. Beda dengan OTT itu kan membuat alat bukti istilahnya gitu. Jadi satu kelasnya Kejaksaan Tinggi. Iya, menemukan. Jadi kita apresiasi lah Kejaksaan Tinggi Mas Agus, tapi ini prestasi saya harus puji. Terima kasih.
Ya, Pak Agus,
Ya,
berarti
makasih,
mungkin bisa
Mas
jelaskan, ya, bisa jelaskan pada kami, Pak Agus, benarkah memang secara yuridis normatif, tadi kan Rektor Udayana bilang, saya tarik sumbangan pengembangan institusi atau SPI ada dasar hukumnya kok, ada alas hukumnya. Benar demikian, satu. Dan kalau memang ada alas hukumnya, bagian mana atau aturan mana yang dilanggar oleh Rektor Udayana bersama dengan 3 staf yang lain?
Iya, terima kasih Mbak. Saya juga mengucapkan terima kasih ke Mas Boyamin sekali lagi. Apa yang saya jelaskan tadi sudah banyak dijelaskan oleh Mas Boyamin. Karena tadi yang tidak sesuai aturan itu, contohnya memang tidak ada di SK Rektor, tapi di sistem itu orang dipaksa untuk mengklik, untuk submit, yang harusnya tidak ada di situ. Kemudian ada juga yang modusnya tidak masuk pada SK itu masuk prodi salah satunya masuk SPI, tapi dipaksa untuk mengklik milih SPI itu. Kemudian ada juga yang Mas Boyamin tadi katakan, kalau itu di aturannya 30%, ada yang SPI-nya 100%. Ini juga sudah kita temukan di sana. Itu Mbak.
Ya, Pak Agus, apakah mungkin terbuka peluang, karena kan ini berarti tindak pidana yang dilakukan secara bersama-sama. Apakah ada kemungkinan ada pihak terkait lain di lingkungan rektorat atau di luar lingkungan rektorat yang patut diduga juga terlibat dalam kasus korupsi di Universitas Udayana?
Ya, kita masih terus melakukan pendalaman, Mbak. Jadi kita memang sangat hati-hati. Apa yang dikatakan Mas Boyamin itu betul. Di bulan Desember kita memang desak-desak didorong karena kehati-hatian, karena kita tahu ini kan masalah ini kompleks, dan maksudnya Mas Boyamin tadi mengapresiasi kita harus menemukan alat bukti, bukan kita ada terus cari alat bukti, harus menemukan. Dan di sini kan menggunakan IT. Nah, salah satu yang kita tetapkan dari tersangka adalah ahli IT, ketua USDI. Ketua USDI itu di bagian IT-nya Udayana. Kemudian ada juga tadi penerimaan itu dikatakan betul. Memang kalau kita asumsikan bahwa itu masuk PNBP, tapi saya kan bilang tadi penggunaan yang tidak sesuai. Jadi di situ memang ini modus yang baru mungkin, dan memang baru kita temukan. Kita sudah koordinasi dengan ahli, sudah periksa ahli, sudah dengan PPATK, memang ada modus demikian.
Mas Boyamin,
ini masuk ke sana.
Ya, kalau Mas Boyamin, kalau Pak Agus bilang ini adalah modus baru gitu ya. Kalau Mas Boyamin sendiri kan kalau yang terendus oleh publik kan adalah kasus rektor nonaktif Unila. Ini sama ya modusnya, atau ada perbedaan? Benar seperti kata Pak Agus, ini baru caranya, ya memang punya dasar hukum SPI, tapi SPI ada pungutan lain selain apa yang tercantum dalam SK Rektor dan diperuntukkan untuk atau tidak sesuai dengan tujuannya.
Memang agak beda. Nilai itu kan sumbangan yang seakan-akan mau dibuat bangunan gedung untuk kepentingan orang banyak, seakan-akan dia tidak untuk kepentingan pribadinya gitu. Jadi pada posisi tertentu Unila itu sebenarnya hanya menguntungkan pihak lain gitu. Tapi kepada dirinya ya masih ada perdebatan lah, mungkin ada perhiasan segala macam, tapi kan itu kan bagian dari menggelembungkan angka gitu. Jadi kalau SPI-nya itu 100 juta, tapi kemudian ada yang sampai 150, ada yang 200, lah sisanya itulah yang kemudian dikreativitaskan sebagai sumbangan untuk kegiatan amal gitu. Tapi sebagian juga masuk pribadi gitu dugaannya. Nah, dari sisi kalau Udayana ini nampaknya banyak hal yang baru begitu, pola-pola cara menggunakannya, cara kemudian pakai IT mensubmit ternyata begitu. Misalnya tadi yang tidak harus SPI tapi kemudian seakan-akan jadi harus SPI, harus submit. Kalau tidak submit itu tidak lolos untuk lembar berikutnya gitu. Jadi ini seperti jebakan gitu loh. Ya kalau bahasa jebakan Batman ya bisa lah begitu. Tapi itulah memaksanya Mas Amin. Nah justru itu. Benyamin itulah memaksanya. Ya justru itu karena pada posisi itulah menjadi pungutan liar gitu kan. Jadi posisi pasal 12E tadi. Tapi kemudian ya saya harus apresiasi pasal 2, pasal 3 diterapkan itu nggak gampang kalau itu kan ada perbuatan melawan hukum atau penyalahgunaan wewenang kan itu dan menimbulkan kerugian negara. Nanti kita tunggulah konstruksinya. Saya tidak ingin mendahului meskipun agak paham begitu karena sehari-hari saya makanannya itu gitu Fristian, tapi biarlah itu kita tidak mendahului penyidik dan jangan dipaksa Mas Agus untuk membuka semuanya gitu. Jadi ini kan rahasia penyidikan nanti. Jadi harus saya pahamkan. Tapi prinsipnya apapun itu saya yakin kalau nanti kreativitasnya ini yang agak banyak hal kreativitas dan itu ngagetkan kita semua. Karena proses penggunaan untuk apa nanti itu dan pihak lain yang diuntungkan berarti ada proses transformasi entah kontrak, entah supplier, entah vendor, macam-macam bisa jadi itu yang pura-pura dibayar tapi bisa jadi dugaannya ada kickback gitu kan. Nanti kalau perlu Mas Agus itu diterapkan juga pasal pencucian uang gitu.
TPPU ya.
Nanti saya yakin uang-uang itu bisa mengalir kemana-mana dan sudah dirubah dan lain sebagainya gitu. Jadi nggak usah tanggung-tanggung Mas Agus kasih terapkan juga pencucian uang.
Ya.
Masih.
Mas Boyamin, ini kan ada 2 kasus meskipun Anda katakan tadi modusnya berbeda. Ada di Universitas Negeri Lampung beberapa waktu lalu, kemudian juga sekarang di Universitas Udayana. Kalau memakai perspektifnya jaksa kan setiap orang atau semua orang patut diduga bersalah sampai kemudian dia terbukti tidak bersalah. Apakah dengan prinsip demikian menurut Anda perlu untuk dilakukan audit secara menyeluruh untuk semua perguruan tinggi negeri terkait dengan penerimaan melalui jalur mandiri harus dilakukan untuk bersih-bersih secara secara masif?
Super setuju dan saya suarakan udah lama ini karena justru dugaan saya di beberapa perguruan tinggi yang sudah ternama begitu ada beberapa hal dugaan penyimpangannya itu misalnya pakai jasa pihak ketiga seakan-akan memberikan les gitu atau memberikan bimbingan atau bahkan memberikan jasa hukum bahkan itu. Jadi proses pembayarannya dialihkan ke sana gitu. Tapi sebagai modus sebenarnya kalau ikut ke sana bayarnya mahal nanti akan lulus. Sama aja itu pemaksaan juga dengan teknik yang mungkin lebih konvensional gitu. Jadi itu cara-cara supaya yang membayar itu nantilah yang bayar mahal lah yang akan diterima dengan berbagai modusnya. Nah, otomatis uangnya karena ini pada posisi semakin besar, potensi untuk penyalahgunaan itu ya akan makin besar dengan berbagai modus, berbagai cara untuk seakan-akan bahkan kalau perlu ya dijadikan honor tambahan gitu, dibagi rata. Supaya tidak kelihatan gaji, pengalaman saya itu misalnya diberikan 3 bulan sekali dengan angka 15 juta. Kalau dibagi per bulan ya 5 juta gaji juga ujungnya gitu loh, Fristian. Jadi banyak itu pengalaman-pengalaman saya mengkamuflase, memanipulasi uang-uang yang harusnya masuk negara peruntukannya untuk jelas, tapi kemudian diakal-akali supaya ini ujung-ujungnya ya menguntungkan pribadi-pribadinya. Dan nanti saya yakin teman-teman Kejaksaan Tinggi Bali akan bisa membuka semua itu di pengadilan dan saya yakin mudah-mudahan ini akan sprintnya kuat semakin cepat dan segera dibawa ke pengadilan. Mudah-mudahan itu Mas Agus. Tapi yakinlah kalau nanti tidak segera bawa ke pengadilan pasti saya ketemu di pengadilan. Saya gugat pra peradilan Kejaksaan Tinggi Bali.
Kalau lama prosesnya ya Mas Boyamin. Mas Boyamin kalau kan Anda punya data dan melakukan kajian. Anda mungkin tidak bisa memaparkan karena waktu kita sempit, tapi seberapa masif kalau Anda bisa mengeluarkan data, seberapa masif dari perguruan tinggi negeri yang ada di Indonesia, berapa banyak kira-kira yang menurut Anda patut diduga jalur mandirinya ini dilakukan atau menjadi celah untuk korupsi?
Level di atas 50% pada potensi dugaan bermasalah kemudian. Baik cara mengambilnya, artinya menerimanya, ada dugaan-dugaan kemudian titipan-titipan sehingga nilainya lebih besar dan dugaannya menjadi suap. Dan kemudian penggunaannya pun juga sering bermasalah. Jadi ada banyak hal yang kemudian menjadikan kasihan rektor-rektor ini, kemudian harus desakan yang lain-lain menjadikan dugaan penyimpangan-penyimpangan itu. Jadi posisi ya minimal itu niat jahat itu muncul kemudian, tapi juga ada yang sejak awal pengen ini dana ini dikelola lebih banyak, dipaksa-paksakan menerima muridnya yang mampunya satu kelas menjadi 3 kelas yang mandiri dan kemudian menjadi seperti open bidding, dijadikan lelang dan kemudian penggunaannya juga kemudian potensi korupsi itu di atas 50%.
Waduh, selama kita ngobrol nih, saya jadi terbayang kalau misalnya ada calon dokter ya karena dia mampu bayar lebih mahal dibanding yang lain, dia masuk, itu kalau lolos jadi dokter bagaimana ya kita nasib para pasien? Itu satu akses yang mungkin kita perlu jawab dan harus mengundang narasumber lain. Tapi saya sangat mengapresiasi kehadiran Mas Boyamin Saiman, Koordinator Masyarakat Anti Korupsi yang katanya siap untuk memperadilkan Kejaksaan Tinggi Bali kalau lama proses penyelidikan dan penyidikan. Sekarang sudah masuk penyidikan. Penyidikannya harapannya cepat masuk ke tahapan penuntutan di pengadilan. Pak Agus, selamat bekerja. Kami harapkan ini juga bisa menjadi terang benderang dan bisa memberikan pesan kepada pihak atau oknum manapun di perguruan tinggi negeri manapun yang masih berani cawe-cawe ya, karena bahwa APH termasuk kejaksaan-kejaksaan di sejumlah wilayah mengendus itu dan mau melakukan penyidikan hingga ke tahapan penuntutan. Terima kasih buat Anda berdua sudah hadir di obrolan malam. Sehat selalu, kita jumpa lagi di lain kesempatan. Saya juga mengucapkan terima kasih buat Anda pemirsa yang sudah menyaksikan kami. Saya Fristian. Kita jumpa lagi besok dengan narasumber dan tema lainnya.
Kerja.
Kejang dan tak sadarkan diri. Diduga cairan itu diberikan dengan dosis berlebih.
Dari barang bukti yang sudah kami kumpulkan, kami amankan itu berupa 1 botol obat cairan merek hidramin, kemudian 1 buah jarum suntik, kemudian 1 buah tas warna hitam. Ini kita masih mengirim surat ke ahli, jadi nanti yang mempunyai keahlian itu yang nanti menjelaskan.
Berdasarkan keterangan saksi di TKP, diduga pelaku sudah merencanakan aksinya karena pelaku telah menyiapkan alat untuk membunuh korban. Sementara itu, pelaku SH sudah diamankan pihak kepolisian. Pelaku diamankan saat ikut ke rumah sakit untuk ikut mengantar korban. Pihak kepolisian pun hingga saat ini masih terus melakukan pendalaman dan penyelidikan termasuk pendalaman motif dan dugaan adanya unsur pembunuhan berencana dalam peristiwa ini. Dari Serang, Banten, Wibowo Sangkala, Media Group Network.
Lembaga Perlindungan Saksi dan Korban atau LPSK menolak permohonan perlindungan yang diajukan kekasih Mario Dandi, AGH. LPSK menilai status AGH tidak memenuhi syarat sebagai terlindungi sebagaimana tertuang dalam undang-undang. Wakil Ketua LPSK Ahmadi memastikan pihaknya telah melakukan penelaahan atau investigasi atas pengajuan permohonan perlindungan yang diajukan oleh kekasih Mario Dandi, AGH. Berdasarkan hasil investigasi, rapat pimpinan LPSK memutuskan menolak pengajuan permohonan perlindungan AGH lantaran status AGH pada saat ini sebagai anak berkonflik dengan hukum sehingga tidak memenuhi syarat sebagai terlindung sebagaimana tertuang dalam Undang-Undang Nomor 14 Tahun 2014. Berdasarkan ketentuan dalam Undang-Undang, LPSK hanya dapat melindungi seseorang yang berstatus saksi dan korban. Meski menolak, namun LPSK memberikan rekomendasi